Kamala Harris has a new book titled 107 Days, and in it, she addresses the now infamous interview that never was with Joe Rogan. And apparently, she was very excited to do the interview. She really was. So why didn't it happen? Well, let's start with what Harris said happened, and then we'll give you Rogan's side of the story. So Harris writes that she and Rogan had initially agreed that he would interview her in Detroit, which I don't believe. Rogan is not a journalist and he doesn't travel around the country to interview politicians. He does a podcast, his guests come to where he is, and he does a 2.5 hour to 3 hour long podcast with his guests.
I've literally never seen him travel. Maybe he has and I didn't see it, but would be exceedingly rare if it's ever happened.
Exactly, so, but then according to her, he changed his mind and asked her to record in Texas. Harris said that was a big ask considering every minute in a swing state mattered at that point late in the election. But she wrote that she was game despite reservations from some of her team if they could wedge it in.
Okay, can I pause there for a second? Because I want to explain how stupid that is. Okay, so assume it's true, right? So you're gonna go do some rando thing in a swing state that's not gonna get any media coverage because you're just doing a cheerleading thing with talking points. We saw it, nobody covered those events. Instead of going on the largest podcast in America, where you could literally reach, what did Trump's get, about 100 million views? Something in that ballpark? So you chose not to address 100 million people because you were gonna do an irrelevant rah-rah event in a swing state? Do you know how politically negligent that is?
No, I thought it was a great political calculation. So much so that she's still having to answer questions about it today.
And her excuses actually make it worse.
It makes it worse because the lie is so obvious. But anyway, let's continue.
Even if it isn't a lie, Anna, it's saying, I don't know anything about modern American politics. I don't realize that going on that podcast is way more valuable to a campaign than doing an insular campaign rally where a bunch of Democrats go, are we all gonna vote for each other? Yeah. That's totally irrelevant compared to that podcast. And to this date, she still doesn't realize it.
So she also wrote, even though most of my team thought doing the interview at all was a gamble, and to be sure it was a gamble, and others bluntly argued it was a bad idea, I really wanted to do it. One podcast was not going to win or lose the election, but Rogan's audience was young and male. I wanted to reach those guys who might not otherwise hear from me. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, like I don't think it would have been a good idea for her to go on Rogan's podcast. Now, once it became a public issue, you really have no choice, like you gotta do it. But it should never have gotten to that point to begin with. And the reason why I say that is because while I don't believe this was always the case with Kamala Harris, I've seen her career earlier where she was totally fine. But at some point during the Biden administration, she forgot how to speak publicly. She forgot how to think for herself, how to make arguments for herself, how to explain what her actual sincere political positions happen to be. You cannot hide your ignorance or your incompetence or your failings in a 3 hour long conversation. And that's what Joe Rogan's podcast is. You're gonna be outed. Who you really are ends up coming out in a lengthy conversation like that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna have one caveat to what you said there, and then I want to go back to something Kamala Harris said. So look, you can lie about a lot of things over 3 hours because Trump did. Trump had the interview with Rogan and he said a bunch of gibberish that didn't make any sense. But what you can't hide is your authentic self.
Exactly.
So like Trump is authentically a con man, and so and a blusterer. Even if you don't think he's a con man, he certainly has a lot of bluster. So he'll go in and then the whole 3 hours will be gone, but you'll get a sense of who Trump is. Okay, you like, you don't like, right? So Joe Rogan doesn't do very tough follow-up questions, but you get a rough sense. Kamala Harris and a lot of Democratic politicians, unfortunately these days, there is no authentic self. All it is like something that was manufactured at a factory run by Democratic consultants. So the correct opinion to have here is you're in favor of the corporate CEOs, and then you're in this, and then they give them the talking points, and that's why they sound like robots. When they go on mainstream media, they know they only get like 5 minutes. How much they speak is about 3 minutes in a normal interview. So can you do like Sarah Palin did back in the day? She realized, running in the first, she said I was really nervous. And about the debate, about interviews and stuff. And then I realized I could just memorize talking points. And you just, no matter what the question is, you state that. That was Kamala Harris 101. So people would have found out that she has no authentic self. That's why Anna's right. But that's why we shouldn't have picked her. But we didn't pick her, she was anointed. And then lastly, on this, Kamala Harris, as Anna read to you, said, I wanted to reach those guys who might not otherwise hear from me. So then my question is, so why didn't you? So she's making it seem like her staff overruled her. Well, then I don't want you as president. Like if I want to do something and I'm running for president, I'm not going to say, Democratic consultant told me not to, so I didn't. That reeks of weakness. If you wanted to do it, you should have done it. Don't tell me afterwards, I didn't do it because I was led by Democratic consultants. I'm so weak I couldn't object.
Harris's team asked Rogan if the interview could take place on October 25th when Harris would be in Texas for a rally. Rogan's team stated that was a personal day for Rogan and asked if the 26th was possible. Harris was unavailable that day and the interview never happened. Harris also stated that on Rogan's personal day, October 25th, he interviewed Donald Trump. So there's Harris's side of the story, and I don't believe her excuse at all. So what did Rogan have to say about this? Well, let's turn to him because he addressed the situation actually a few times now. And he says that here's what he said on February of this year.
One of the things he said that weren't true was that we lied about the day that Trump was coming on. No, we just didn't tell you that Trump was coming on. He was already booked a long time ago. This is how it worked. Trump was really easy to book, like super easy. We offered one day, he said yes, that was it. They never committed to doing the show. So all this talk, there was another thing they said that the reason why they did the Beyonce thing, the Beyonce event in Houston, was so that they could be in Texas to do my show. They never agreed to do the show. They also said that they sent someone down here to the studio to do a walkthrough of the set. That's not true. Even after Trump went on, they offered for me to come to DC and do a show with Kamala. But even then, it was the same deal. It was only like 45 minutes to an hour. And it was not on my set. I wanted to release both of them on the same day. This was my goal. I was even trying to figure out if there was a way that I could do it. And I even offered to do it late that night. So the night that Trump came on, I'm like, what if we do her, like when she's done in Texas, if she came here? But no one ever committed to doing it.
We love finding folks who are good fits for us, right?
I love good fits.
When you're sleeping, you definitely need a good fit. So I don't get enough sleep during the weekdays, but because of Lisa Mattress, at least on Saturdays, I'm getting some great sleep and I'm waking up in the morning thinking, I got this. So I love that they have free shipping. I love that they have easy returns. That's super critical for me. 100-day trial. What else do you want?
You got to get that trial.
And they've given away 42,000 mattresses. We love companies trying to do good in the world. So they're good guys and they've got great mattresses.
They're philanthropists.
You can't lose with this. So that's why we picked them and we hope you do too.
Go to lisa.com for 25% off, plus get an extra $50 off with promo code TYT exclusive to our viewers. That's LEESA.com, promo code TYT for 25% off, plus an extra $50 off. But be sure to enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. Lisa.com, promo code TYT. I believe him, I do. I believe him. I don't think that her argument really makes much sense. Rogan wasn't even finished with Harris yet. Here's more.
They wanted a stenographer in the room. They wanted staff in the room. They wanted Trump was just in here by himself.
Yeah,
just me, him, and Jamie. That's it, for 3 hours. Like they wanted to do everything. They wanted it very controlled, and they were really concerned that it wasn't going to be edited. So I don't think they ever really were sure they wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Even then, when they offered to do it in DC, my manager asked, "Is she committed to doing this? If I bring this to Joe?" No. She hasn't committed to doing this. You talked to, what's that guy's name? Brett Breyer?
Yeah.
Where they cut that off after 20 minutes. When they did that, that's when I was like, look, it's got to be in the studio. It's got to be in the studio, and it's got to be real. It's got to be a real conversation. I had entertained a couple of times going to, but I'm just like, 45 minutes is just not enough. You know, you and I have been talking an hour and a half already.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, it's not enough time. You need more time. You need more time to find out what makes someone tick.
And that's probably what she was afraid of.
Probably what they were afraid of. Maybe not her. I don't think they should have been. I think we would have had a good old time.
No, you're a good guy.
I think we would have had fun.
All right, we've got a minute 30. Go ahead, Cenk.
Yeah, I believe him 100%. So one of the reasons I believe him is because he says honest things like, yeah, we didn't tell him about when we were gonna do the Trump interview. So like he's admitting that they were, they played that game with them. Whereas the Kamala Harris people never admit any fault. And yeah, that sounds like Democrats. Come to DC and then maybe we'll give you an interview. Okay, which leads me to my most important point. Hey, schmucks of the world that run the Democratic Party, when the biggest show in America asks you to come on right before an election, you go on. It's not complicated at all. At all. You don't go, oh, maybe 45 minutes, maybe you come here and then maybe I give you an interview, maybe I don't. No, you go, yes, of course I'd like to come on. Why? Like if I was the candidate, oh my God, I would have done it twice, 3 times, 4 times. I would have done every podcast 2, 3 times over. Why? Because you're trying to reach people. You're trying to convince them. You're trying to get them to vote for you. Democratic politicians don't even try. And then they wonder, oh, how did we lose? You lost because you didn't even bother making your case. And now you want to try to convince me afterwards with an obvious bunch of lies. And even if they were true, it reeks of weakness. Oh, we couldn't handle an interview. Oh, my consultants told me not to do it. Pathetic. For God's sake, next time we have a primary, let's pick someone strong and smart that can make our case for us instead of weaklings constructed by Democratic consultants who robbed the party blind. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.